Hey guys, Barrett here again with another video. Today we're going to be working on my 2018 Volkswagen Golf R. And we're going to be flashing some integrated engineering performance software onto it. For those of you that do not know, I actually work for integrated engineering, and part of that I get to test out some things, do logging, and work with some customers here to try to finalize tunes and stuff for the vehicles. I'm going to show you how to flash your vehicle with the software. I'm going to show you how to data log it, and then I'm going to go into kind of explaining some basics of understanding how to read some data logs. I've got a program that's ECU Plot. We use that a lot. It's pretty simple to use. I'll kind of go through it and show you how to modify the axes in it to where you can actually see the graphs and everything pretty easily. So let's get started. First, we're going to go ahead and put our car's ignition on, and we're going to plug up our Powerlink cable. So I've already got it plugged in here in the OBD2 port. It's a USB-C cable. It plugs into the bottom of the little box there. And we've just got our USB. We'll plug it in our computer. Once we get that done, we're going to go in here and open our software. And we're going to go to Tune. Now the first prompt that it's going to give you here is to make sure that you have your car hooked up to a battery charger. The way this works is the initial flash that you do on the vehicle is going to take about 20 to 25 minutes on your ECU tune. The initial time that you flash with the performance software. Anytime that you move from stage 1 to stage 2, or different octane files, or high torque or low torque, those flashes only take about 60 seconds to do. So my car's already been flashed. We're just kind of modifying some things, doing a little more testing to get a little more power out of the vehicle. And I don't have to go back through the initial flash. So I'm not going to bother with hooking it up to a battery tender or anything like that. There's no point. It's going to be very quick, and it's not going to drain the battery on that. So we're just going to click next, and we'll follow the prompts here. Now with this, you're going to need an internet connection. The internet connection is required to initially download the file to your computer. It takes a couple of seconds to do that. Once the file has downloaded, you no longer need internet access anymore to flash the vehicle. So here it says to make sure we've already got our Powerlink plugged up, which we do. Turn the ignition on. We've already done that, and now it's going to scan the car and identify it. So here it's going to show our engine computer, our VIN number, latest engine flash, our transmission computer, and the latest transmission flash as well. Now when this opens up, it's going to give you what tunes are available. For this car, I have an engine and a transmission tune available. We're going to go into engine, and we're going to be doing a stage 2 high torque file, and this file has my name on it. Like I said, we're trying to make some improvements in some areas, some things that we found. We're going to select that one, go to next, and then we'll hit flash. Now this one's just identifying what we're adding into mine here, but when you hit flash, it's going to give you flash requirements, and it'll tell you exactly what hardware you need. It's imperative that you have the correct hardware for your vehicle. Don't try to cheap out and say, oh, well, I don't need an intake, it'll be okay. Or I don't really need the intercooler, or maybe I can get by without a downpipe. We have specifically tuned these files to work with specific hardware on the car. So just make sure that you have it on there. So my car does meet the requirements. Connecting to the server. Now, Once it starts flashing, you're going to hear the car start kind of making different noises. You're going to have a bunch of error codes that are going to come up here. The headlights are going to move around. You're going to hear the throttle body open, and just a whole bunch of different stuff is going to happen. Don't worry about that. That is normal. And you can see how fast our software is flashing here. Okay, now we're gonna turn the ignition off, hit finish here, start our vehicle back up, and you'll see that all those codes that we had a second ago are gone. Don't worry about the error start stop thing. That does happen at times. You drive the vehicle, you turn it back on, the next time it goes away. So we're clear of codes or anything like that. Now I'm going to show you how to data log with the vehicle. So we're going to go into extras here. And we have a couple of different features. On this vehicle we have 3 different features in the extras. Okay, so we have 3 different features here. We have read codes. That's going to be able to go in and check your engine and transmission codes. Data log is what we're going to be doing here in a minute once I get on the interstate. And then drain fuel is going to be for if you have fuel in the vehicle that you want to drain out and you want to put in a different fuel. So let's say that you want to go to the track and you want to run 104 octane. You don't want to keep any pump fuel in the vehicle, because if you go to put your 104 octane in it, it can dilute it down. It wouldn't be as high of an octane rating. So you would go up, disconnect the low pressure fuel pump line from the high pressure fuel pump, come to the vehicle, turn the ignition on, go to drain fuel, and when you hit that, it's going to use the battery to turn the low pressure fuel pump on, and it'll run until all the fuel comes out. And it's a very good feature to have when you go to the track. Okay, so to data log, you're going to come in, click data log, and you can already see that the parameters here are moving around. Now if we hit delete, we get another set of parameters, different things to look at and to log here. We're going to worry about our first set of parameters here, and to log, all we have to do is hit start. We go into whatever gear or drive the car to whatever speed we need to see it into, whatever RPM, and then we hit stop once we're done doing our log. Then we will hit save, and then we just save the file to wherever we want to. I'm not going to save this one, I don't need it. Now once you save the file, you want to ensure that you hit delete, because if you don't hit delete, what's going to end up happening is it's going to continue to stack every log on top of each other. So what that does is it clears out the last log that you did and then allows you to start a new one, so you don't have a huge file. So we're going to close this out, come back to our main menu. We're going to get on the road and we're going to give it a whirl and get a couple of logs. So we've gone out, taken the vehicle, and done a couple of logs, and we're going to go and review them. So like I was talking about earlier, there's a program called ECU Plot or ECUX Plot. You can download it online, and I've already got it installed here, so we're going to open that. File, open file, and then we're going to go so this was the vehicle in sport mode, 1st through 5th gear, roll on, so not using launch control. And the way you want to set this up is, well, the way that I like to do it is I like to have my y-axis 2, I like that one to run my boost pressure and RPM and stuff on it, because if you, let me turn up the brightness here. So our y-axis 2 is over on the right hand side, and on y-axis 1 is going to be on our left. So on y-axis 1, I've got wastegate actual and wastegate specified, and that's going to range anywhere from between 0 to 100. And then I have throttle position sensor, which is going to be 0 to 65 is actually the highest value that the ECU reads with that. Actually 66, sorry. And then I also have spark advance on that. So anything that I want to have lower, that's going to be a lower value, a lower number to display, I'm going to put that on the left side. Anything that's going to have a higher one, I'm going to put it on the right. So if we look here, we're showing in our boost pressure is going to be in millibar. So the highest that we have it set to right now is a request of 2900 millibar. So if you were to put in 2900 millibar into a calculator, it's going to be pretty high. So that would be, I'm going to pull up my calculator here. 2900 millibar would be 42 pounds per square inch. But with this, what we're going to do is we're going to subtract 1000 off from whatever our value is showing on here. So if we're requesting, let's say 2800 millibar, it's actually going to be 26 psi. So you can go through, and I'm going to clear out everything here so we can kind of walk through it together. Take RPM off, boost actual on the charge pipe and the manual manifold. Kind of show you what I'm talking about here. You can arrange them if you want on the left or the right, but anything that's going to require anything to have a higher number value, you want them dedicated to one side or the other. Because if you try to mix together, let's do throttle position, and then we want to do RPM together, you'll see that the throttle position comes way down here, because once again, our throttle position only goes from 0 to 66. And our RPM obviously is going all the way up to almost 7,000 RPM. So it's going to mess things up. Even if we come in, we right click, we go to auto range and go to both axes, it doesn't change anything. It's because we've got everything stacked up on our y-axis here. So everything's that's gonna be a low value will be really low. So we're going from 0, 250, 500, 750, basically increments of 250 on our RPM scale here. So it's gonna mess up everything. Now, if we turn off throttle and then we bring it over to its own axis, y-axis 2, you can see now on the right hand side we go from 0 up to 70, and we can actually see our value together here. So we'll just go with it like that. We'll have our y-axis is going to be our higher numbers. So right here we're looking at RPM. I'm going to bring up boost, and I want to see my actual in the charge pipe versus my actual in the manifold, and see what I have going on here. And my actual in the charge pipe is going to be the dark blue line. Actual in the manifold is going to be a kind of teal blue line, which is going to be kind of hard to see. Let me actually do this too. We'll turn RPM off, so now I have blue and red. There we go. So we only have boost in the charge pipe is going to be red, boost in the manifold is going to be blue. So we can see here, like I said, we're working out a few things here, and we can see that our charge pipe actually has a little bit more boost at times in certain gears than what we have in our manifold, and that's going to be likely due to us experiencing some throttle closure. So we'll bring up the y-axis 2 on the right hand side. And we can see our, I'm going to bring up RPM too, so I'm going to bring up RPM as well on this y-axis 1. That way I can it'll kind of move everything that's a lower value down. I can see it a little more clearer. Okay, so here we go. So we have our boost and everything's down here. Our purple is going to be our throttle position. So I can see in first gear when I got onto the throttle here that in our charge pipe I have considerably larger amounts of boost there than what I have in the manifold. And if I come up to the purple line, I can see right here that the throttle position has closed down. Now on these vehicles, when that happens, that means that there's probably something limiting the torque and causing that, and that typically is inherent of transmission. and we are also working with the transmission file as well. But we can see this very clear here that our blue to red, we have a considerable difference. So we're going from about 2250 millibar actually in the intake manifold, and what's in the charge pipe is around 2600, 2700 millibar. So we're a couple of pounds of boost off there, and we can see right in that area our throttle position has dropped down, and that's why there's a separation between boost in the manifold and the charge pipe. Well, hopefully you guys didn't get bored along with this. It is kind of more of a technical aspect, kind of computery stuff. It's not so much fun. I enjoy it, but it's not the installing, taking things off, and really working with your hands. It's more of knowledge of what you do and what you do not know. And this is a great tool to look at if you do know what you're looking for. I highly recommend downloading it. It works very easily. You just have to know how to manipulate the y-axis on the left and on the right. If you don't, you can kind of get squirrely with it, and you'll never be able to see the values that you want. So that's all that I have for you today. Everyone, take it easy, and see you next time.